Dear visitor, welcome to Versailles, the heart of the kingdom. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Louis XIV's dream. I'm the Palace of Versailles. The date is September 1st, 1686, a very important day for the whole court. Why? Because Louis XIV, King of France, is expecting a very special visit. The ambassadors of Versailles, King of Siam, are arriving from the other side of the world after a 9-month voyage. Would you like to relive this extraordinary day? Follow me to find out all about this fascinating event. What a lovely sunny day. As ever, hundreds of people have come from all over the kingdom to see me. Noblemen, bourgeois, clerics. But today they have come from all over Europe too, to witness this special event. Some of them admire my architecture, some just wander through my gardens, but all of them harbor a secret hope of seeing the king. Let's face it, isn't that part of the reason you are here too? To be presented to the king, however, one must be dressed appropriately. But don't worry, you're my guest, and we're going to sneak around in secret. Hey, you're in luck. We have here Jules Hardouin-Mansart, the greatest architect of the 17th century. Following the death of Louis le Vau, he earned the trust of Louis XIV, who granted him the title of first architect to the king. From his imagination came the Hall of Mirrors, my expensive orangery, and my imposing chapel, Louis XIV's last great building project. I see we've arrived among a group of bourgeois. I recognize them. They come here regularly to lodge petitions. You know, these famous written requests to the king seeking an audience with him? The king rarely receives people in his cabinet, and I don't need to point out that the coming days will be taken up completely with the visit of the Siamese ambassadors. Look, the ambassadors are passing the royal gate. How wonderful. Their clothing is light and colorful, very different from our French fashion. They will certainly be remembered for their conical hats adorned with crowns of gold and rubies. The Siamese exoticism bring a real breath of fresh air to the French court. Louis XIV should be very pleased with this most auspicious visit. Before arriving at Versailles, the 3 ambassadors and their entourage spent 7 months at sea and another 2 months traversing the routes of the kingdom. Although they must be quite exhausted, they still managed to exude an incredible calm. Siam at Versailles. The sun from the east meets the Sun King. Ah, here, we have the whole of France gathered around the king. The courtiers, who make up the court of the Sun King. While some of them are here by virtue of their birth, others find themselves at court through social obligation. Whatever their status, they must all observe etiquette, the set of rules marking the order of precedence. This lets the courtiers know how they should behave and speak, depending on the person with whom they're dealing with. Forms of address also have their own code, and even the right to sit is not enjoyed by everyone. We are now at the ambassador's staircase, a real jewel of the Grand Siècle. Conceived and designed by Louis le Vau in 1668, the Grand Staircase is reserved for visits by the most exceptional embassies, non-European in other words. Such visits are rare at Versailles, so understandably, Louis XIV wanted something truly majestic and impressive. Today, the Cent-Suisses are guarding the staircase. The motto of these soldiers, Ea est fiducia gentis, means literally, such is the fidelity of this nation. From the vantage point of the bust of the king, you have a perfect view of the scene. Look, the Sans-Suisses have taken up their places on the staircase. In fact, thinking about it, this dramatic spot lends itself perfectly to displays of royal power. Follow me. Follow me. Follow me. We have come to the Diana room, where we find the three Siamese ambassadors. Relations between France and Siam couldn't have got off to a better start. I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying France has blown them away. I even heard one of the Siamese saying, in addition to the three greatnesses that were man, God, and paradise, I now know that of Versailles. This was Louis XIV's wish, to astonish and impress. As part of that desire, he had a precise goal: to establish trading agreements between Southeast Asia and France and urge King Franc-Marais to convert to Catholicism. Let's leave the ambassadors in the king's state apartments. There's something I want to show you. If you think diplomatic receptions are highly elaborated, the daily life of the sovereign is no less regulated. Every day, it's the same routine, with a ceremonial every hour. From getting up to going to bed, Louis XIV follows an astonishingly regular schedule that has been remarked on by his contemporaries. As Saint-Simon wrote in his political treatise, with an almanac and a watch, one could, from 300 leagues away, say with accuracy what he was doing. See for yourselves. "10 a.m. It's time for the Mass." Prior to 1710, the King's Chapel was located in the central part of the palace. Since then, the King has gone directly to the Royal Chapel. Follow me. 11 a.m. The King holds council in his chamber. He listens attentively to the advice of his ministers before delivering his verdict on the issues that have been put to him. So a small room at the center of the palace is where the biggest decisions are made. 1 p.m. In his bedchamber, the king eats alone, but in public. This is the first meal. I can say without hesitation that Louis XIV likes to eat well. He certainly never deprives himself. And because he's a fan of peas, the whole court is suddenly eating them. Writing about this, Madame de Maintenon has said, "There are ladies who, having supped at the royal table, go home and even at the risk of suffering from indigestion, will eat more peas before going to bed. It is a fashion, a madness." 2 p.m. Walk time. Each morning, Louis XIV decides whether to spend the afternoon walking in the fresh air in the gardens, designed by Le Nôtre, or out hunting, the favorite sport of all the Bourbons. Follow me. Follow me. 10 p.m. At the grand meal, Louis XIV is no longer alone, but surrounded by members of the royal family. Once the meal is over, he crosses the room and enters the state apartments to greet the ladies of the court, before retiring to his cabinet to converse with his family and close friends. Follow me. Let's return to today's main event, the visit from the Embassy of Siam. We're now in the Hall of Mirrors, which can barely contain the crowd of courtiers who have come to see these strange ambassadors. This is the key moment, when the ambassadors have their audience with the Sun King himself. Surrounded by princes from the royal family, he sits majestically on his throne at the end of the Great Hall, with his back to the Peace Room. After a series of 3 greetings, which certainly leave an impression, the ambassadors arrive before Louis XIV. And whereas in Siam, the sovereign's subjects are not allowed to look at him in the eye, there, Louis XIV declares, "They have come too far not to be allowed to look at me. Come closer, take a look." This is Abbot de Lyon, whose role is to accompany the Siamese and translate the address of the first ambassador for the king. Written in gold, it is safeguarded by not 1 but 3 boxes. The first is made of Japanese lacquered wood, the second of silver, and the third of gold. All are covered in golden brocade and fastened with the white waxed seal of the first ambassador. How refined! Throughout my apartments and in my hall of mirrors, their steps resonate still. What a privilege to have experienced this historic moment. This was certainly the most incredible meeting I've had in my life. But have I told you yet about my craziest night? Welcome, friend, to Versailles, the heart of the kingdom. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Louis XIV's dream. I'm the Palace of Versailles. It is the evening of the 25th of February 1745, and I invite you to attend the ball held in honor of the marriage of Louis Ferdinand, the Dauphin of France. I will take you with me to explore the different rooms of the palace. Use your right hand to guide yourself, while the map in your left hand will help you get your bearings. Don't get lost now. The festivities are getting underway. Louis XV, known as the Beloved, has just married off his son, Louis Ferdinand of France, to the Infanta Maria Teresa of Spain, daughter of Philip V, the King of Spain. To mark this special occasion, the King of France is organizing a magnificent masked ball to which everyone is invited. The 2 young people, aged 16 and 19, actually belong to the same family. The son of Louis XV, Louis Ferdinand of France, is the grandson of Louis of France, Duke of Burgundy, who is himself the grandson of Louis XIV and brother of Philip V of Spain, the father of the Infanta Maria Teresa of Spain. So the young bride is a first cousin of Louis XV. The marriage between Louis Ferdinand, Dauphin of France, and Maria Teresa, the Infanta of Spain, therefore marks the reconciliation between the 2 countries. The celebrations must be worthy of such an event. Look, the carriages are already starting to arrive. This ball is attracting a lot of people. It is a true spectacle, with the number of guests running into the hundreds. This evening reminds me of the excitement of my early years, when my walls echoed to the sounds of the parties organized by Louis XIV, the Sun King. The entire court is here to celebrate this union, but I get the feeling there's more to this party than meets the eye. It's almost 11:30 p.m. Let's get closer. The guests are gathering in a marble courtyard to gain entry to the palace. The main event is taking place in the king's state apartments and the Hall of Mirrors, which have been specially decorated for the occasion. The plan is for the party to go on until sunrise, proof that a royal wedding is a truly special event at Versailles. Everyone will make the most of the occasion to see and be seen. Unusually, an invitation is not required to attend the ball. Louis XV is a king who likes to receive guests. Everyone is free to enter the royal apartments as long as they're masked, but one guest per group is nevertheless asked to unmask himself. This act of good faith ensures the security of the king and the royal family. Versailles knows how to enjoy itself safely. The entire court suspects that Louis XV, who has been married to Marie Lesinska since 1725, will take advantage of all the mystery created by the mask this evening to acquaint himself with a beautiful stranger he had previously met during a hunting party. Tonight, Louis XV is looking for a new favorite. All the traditional rules are being rewritten. The king likes to have fun, so for tonight, he has chosen an unusual costume, which will ensure all eyes are upon him. There has been much speculation about his outfit. Only those closest to the king have been taken into his confidence. Come with me into his inner circle. We are entering the king's private room. You really are privileged. This is where Louis XV, like his great-grandfather Louis XIV before him, finds privacy away from the hustle and bustle of the court. This room, which adjoins Louis XV's new chamber, normally serves as a games room. Look, the tables are still set up, and the way in which the game pieces have been left in place suggests that the players left in a hurry. The party won't wait. As for us, let's make the most of this moment of peace. Louis XV likes to joke around, and this evening's masked ball is a way for the King of France to get right in among the people without being recognized. I'm sure we will find clues here as to the costume he's going to wear later. What do you think? Come on, let's try to find the clues together. Look at all these papers. Isn't there anything here that can give us an idea about the costume the king has chosen to wear to such a prestigious party? Here's a really odd document, signed by Louis XV's own hand. But the music is getting louder. Perhaps we should go to the Hall of Mirrors. The king must be on his way and his entrance will be majestic. There is no doubt about that. Here we are in the Hall of Mirrors, ordered by Louis XIV and completed in 1684 by Jules Hardouin-Monsard. Even at more than 70 meters long and 13 meters wide, the hall is still struggling to contain the attending crowd. Just look at these costumes, these dresses, these masks. This ball really is most extraordinary. I'm delighted to see that all the guests have entered into the spirits of anonymity. it really does look set to be a great evening. People are here to see and be seen, and to have fun, certainly. But they also want to take advantage of the many buffets set out in the state apartments and the Hall of Mirrors. There are fish, pastries, fruits and sweets, wine and liquors. The king certainly knows how to entertain. Who is this strange person watching the other guests so attentively? May I introduce Charles-Philippe d'Albert, the Duke of Luynes, a famous French diarist. It is his job to record the historic events and deeds of the court. Thanks to his shrewd eye, we're privy to the smallest details of this incredible evening. He wrote, in fact, that so great was the crowd in the hall that one could almost get from one end to the other without setting foot on the ground. What a party! The crowd is thronging throughout the state apartments. Some guests are entering through the war room, while others are waiting in the bullseye's antechamber. That's a crazy idea. Who is hiding behind these yew tree costumes? As well as being surprisingly original, they also ensure that whoever is wearing them remains incognito. But don't you recognize this costume from one of the sketches we found in the king's private room? These women are behaving rather oddly around the yew trees. Such respect, such mystery. The reason is simple, however. Since the death of the Duchess of Châteauroux, King Louis XV's favorites, many are hoping to attract royal favor, and everyone knows the king is looking for a new favorite. Will he choose her from among the women present tonight? Who is this pretty stranger that so intrigues our yew tree? Isn't it the lovely Madame d'Étiolles? What grace, what beauty! She's the one, the beautiful stranger that the king wanted to see so much. So there's no doubt, it's definitely King Louis XV hiding beneath the yew tree costume. Within a few months, Madame d'Étiolles will be installed at the palace, just below the king's private rooms, and by royal decree will become the Marquise de Pompadour. This night is the beginning of an enduring love story between Louis XV and his new favorite,